You shouldn't wait for permission to be the kind of person that you know God wants you to be. Right? You have some skills, some gifts, some talents, and some of them may not appear until you perform. You start being your authentic self. Right? You may not even be able to truly see what you're capable of until you get the ball rolling. Now, in the framework that I'm using, right, that I'm creating and refining, I see reality as this fabric, right? And in that fabric, there is an infinite layer of different domains that apply to different aspects of our lives. For example, there might be a fitness domain that might be further broken down to different layers, right? And the and identity is really a kind of manifold, some kind of structure, superstructure that's made of these finer pieces that uh, can map to those specific portions of reality. And so by basically with your thoughts manipulating your identity, you can start to bend the curvature of reality. You can start to curve those fabrics of reality, right? And so don't wait for people in your reality. Don't wait for feedback from anything external. Right? Start becoming and start working on yourself. If you have some particular innate skill or something you enjoy in particular that is beneficial and useful, right? Begin to operationalize that aspect, right? Just become, right? Just live. And then what will happen is in the model that I'm creating is that you will begin to bend reality, right? You will curve the particular domain that whatever you're working on maps to, right? And and you should not have to wait. Uh, don't ask for permission uh, to innovate, to express your ideas, and really see how where reality takes you, right? You should be trying your hardest to experience, to imagine, to produce art, right? You really want to use your time wisely wherever you find yourself optimized, right? Wherever you are optimized. This could just be something that you feel comfortable, some skill that you feel comfortable doing that feels effortless to you, low energy, right? Um, if you notice that some things seem to come easier to you, it's your job to double down on that. I want you to double down on it, or at least pay attention to it, right? Because that could kind of give you an indication of where you should be going, what kind of hobbies you should be involved with. Because just because the whole world is fixed on telling you this is a particular path you need to take, right? Your skills and your God-given talents might be preparing a way for you, right? Your gifts and your talents might bring you before kings, may bring you before rulers, they may bring you before industries that need your particular unique skill. And this will create a different value for you, right? But it must start as a hobby, right? Because I think you must play by the rules, right? And some people just like throw everything away and just say, I'm just going to focus on my skills. I'm not even going to worry about trying to climb the corporate ladder and all of that. I don't recommend quitting your day job, right? But remember that if you are if you have a dream, if you are full of this potential, it is your duty to operationalize it. Okay, operationalize it and start small. Find the micro habits you can start performing, whether that means changing your mind first about it, right? Start in the thoughts, right? Start thinking, I can do this. I can become a chess grandmaster. I can push myself to the limits in and this ice skating that I'm doing, right? And really believe what you want to believe about your identity in these particular domains, right? If you have that aptitude for math, believe that you can contribute something profound to math, right? So really, really work on your thoughts. Those uh, those beliefs that are hindering you from confidently making a step, address them, right? Address those thoughts. Whether it says that you don't have the skills, that people are going to laugh at you, right? Or you're never going to make it, right? Get rid of the wrong, worrisome thoughts, the thoughts that are hindering your progress. And then I need you to start compounding action. Better you take um, uh, one step every single day than to run a mile and then quit the next day, right? Well, that's what a lot of people do. They burn out, right? But the journey is a marathon, right? And really, if you have the right mindset, you're not going to be focused on what you're doing with reality. You don't even care whatever anyone else says, right? Or whether or not, um, reality is giving you exactly what you want. You're not even concerned because a lot of times people focus on the money, right? And when the money is not there, right, they shut off that particular part of themselves that is supposed to be helping them become, right? So the infinite game of identity is that you should always be improving yourself. Always flesh out this identity superstructure, whatever that is, right? Whether if you take a thin slice of your identity and say, this is what's mapping to this reality. I'm trying to be a better writer, for example. And you forget about the money, forget about fame, forget about some outcome, forget about curving, even waiting for the curvature of the reality to increase the probability that your manifested desire is going to enter into that orbit, right? What you should be focusing on in the infinite game of your identity is that you should continue to write every day. Do the disciplines, the things that make you become, right? You become the person that is capable of increasing the probability of that outcome being attracted to you, right? Because because curving reality should not be something um, you're you're always actively thinking about. It's just a matter of who you are, right? You are constantly exerting the field. And by virtue of the fact that you've been working so hard on yourself, improving yourself, you've been consistent, if the domain you're working on is being an author or an incredible writer, right? The fact that you've been putting in the reps, right? You've been compounding actions and you've eliminated those self-defeating beliefs, right? It doesn't matter what you see on the outside. You just keep focusing and hammering on all of the things that pertain to you becoming the better version of yourself as a writer. Right? You may have been a decent writer today. You take the next necessary step to get to the next level. Maybe you started some online business. You take the necessary step to begin to advertise. Whatever that extra mile that you can improve, you focus on that. Right? You keep going, and you don't worry about this. What happens is even when reality starts to to respond, right? So even when reality starts to listen back to you and actually starts to curve and return to you this feedback that you really want, the feedback of that increased likelihood, and actually collapses the probabilistic state of your desired outcome to something that tangible in your orbit. Even at that, you don't concern yourself with, oh, I have gotten some amount, right? You just keep the discipline, the vision of the identity framework. The vision of the identity framework is that, of the identity engineering framework, sorry, is that you continue to manipulate your identity. The theory goes that if you can continue to configure your identity, you can start to learn how your identity maps to reality. And as you continue to understand that feedback cycle, you can further, um, uh, to quote um, the famous Olympian who was the skateboarder, I believe. I think her name is Gu. I apologize, but you probably know who I'm talking about, right? You will have neuroplasticity on your side, especially because you understand that you can configure your identity structures, your consciousness, your inside, your inward parts, right? You might not be able to control what's going on the outside, but you can control what's going on the inside. And when you can control what's going on the inside, you can better manipulate the specific fabrics of reality.